when I left there, I really felt like I was leaving a void because I had such great connections with all of these people, and I just wanted to continue that.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Gold Standard podcast hosted by the SUNY Canton Alumni Association. I'm your host, Zachary Monroe, and I am the Digital Engagement Officer here for SUNY Canton Alumni and College Foundation. And I'm excited to be joined today with our first guest on our first episode here on St. Patrick's Day, Kelly Obermayer, class of 1979. She is also the president of our SUNY Canton Alumni Association. And so we're excited to get into some conversation with Kelly today about her path to Canton, her story here at Canton, and really what propelled her to continue to be involved with the university at the level and capacity she still has today. And of course, we'll follow up with some advice for our gold alumni, which we classify and call our graduates of the last decade. So Kelly, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Zach. I'm truly honored to be the first. So and on St. Patrick's Day, so that's even a double honor. So thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm glad you had a chance to join us. So I always like to start a podcast episode off with who is Kelly? What is your Canton story, right? What is that personal connection? What brought you to this wonderful university? And, what was that lasting impact like for you in being a student here, back in the late 70s?
Yeah, the Kelly story, as exciting as that may be, back in 1977, when I graduated from high school, my goal and dream at that point was to be a police officer. And at that time, SUNY Canton had one of the few criminal justice curriculums. And remember, back in that time, SUNY Canton was a 2-year school, so it was a 2-year program. And I just felt that was the place for me to go. I went and I toured the campus, and I am pretty local from Dexter, which is right near Watertown. And I could have gone, closer to home, but I also wanted that full college experience of living in the dorms and at that age getting away from my parents. So I went to SUNY Canton with actually a handful of my fellow classmates from high school, and a couple of them were also in the criminal justice program. It was so much fun and such an experience. I was not only, I did receive high grades, which I am still confused as to how or why. I was involved. I had a work study program. I worked at Cheney, as just for some extra income. I was vice president of the Criminal Justice Association. I played both volleyball and softball for the college, and I joined a sorority. So I don't know how I had time for studies, but apparently I did. Well, what I found is that I just really loved the curriculum, and I knew that that was the niche of where I wanted to go. And so SUNY Canton was there for me and provided such a great learning and stepping out into adulthood experiences, I guess. Yeah.
I love what you said there, how, you're from Dexter, you wanted to get away from home after high school, after graduating. And then, Canton's always been nice in the North Country that it's far enough away from home, but close enough to make a home for Sunday dinner sometimes.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's probably why we talk about, a third of our enrolled students are North Country natives as well, too. So, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, was there a turning point during your college experience? And I love one of the things you also describe is being involved as a volleyball player and on a softball team and being involved in so many student activities, really immersing yourself into that full college experience. Was there a point during your time here at SUNY Canton that was maybe that turning point that helped connect you with where you wanted to go and where you ended up, in your career and in your life? And was it that same connection that made you really kind of think about the aftermath and the impact after graduating from Canton, about how you wanted to stay involved and be connected?
Yes. So my time there, and I also failed to mention that I was an RA. So, just add that to my busy schedule, if you will. My time there, I was exposed to and experienced everything I possibly could. And that also included meeting many faculty, staff, and administrators and people that were involved in the college. And when you really get to know those people, and this is still true today, they have a passion for what they're doing for their jobs. And that just kind of comes from them and it comes into you, which is, just wow, my professor really cares about the curriculum. He really cares about Canton, but he also, most importantly, he cares about us as students. And as a student, because I was involved in almost everything, I got to know so many people and make so many connections within the other students. And when I left there, I really felt like I was leaving a void, because I had such great connections with all of these people, and I just wanted to continue that. I did, in my early years, return back for reunion weekend, alumni weekend. And, I think at one point, our class of 77, it was either our 5th year or our 10th year, we were like this huge group of people that just converged back. And it was just so wonderful that after, and I apologize for not knowing it was 5 or 10 years, but just seeing these people that I knew, and some I didn't know, because I didn't know everybody, but just still that camaraderie and that common bond that we all had. SUNY Canton gave me, with my associate's degree in criminal justice, a stepping stone as a female into a world that wasn't typically known as a female industry. And, Title IX had kind of just come out. So, police departments and corrections officers, facilities, they were under kind of this government mandate to hire, if you will, minorities and females. And, I'd like to say that I got my first job as a police officer, because of my education and credentials, not just because I was a female. But I know there's a piece of that that's true. But it was just, SUNY Canton just gave you so much, and the curriculum was so well-rounded that I felt prepared to go out and search for the job of my dreams. And I did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, career in law enforcement, where did that lead you? Where was the pinnacle of your career, would you say?
So I started off, I worked security, Pinkertons and whatnot, because just diving into a police department here and there is not always an easy thing to do. It is still, It was true then and is true today, that it's not necessarily what you know, but who you know always helps for that recommendation, right? So through some of my security work, I came across a gentleman who was also a SUNY Canton alumni of a few years prior to me, who worked for, and Fred Leby, who also was president of the Alumni Association at some point. But he worked for a small town of Clay Police Department outside of Syracuse. And I met him through a class I took, and he said, "Hey, would you like to be a police officer?" And I go, "Would I?" That's my dream, right? So I went and I interviewed, and they hired me. And at that point, I hadn't had any official training, but so when I was out on the road, I was always with what I call one of my big brother patrol officers who took care of me. And I stayed with them for about a year and a half until I got married and moved away. So yeah. And from there, I kind of realized police work is hard, and there's a lot to it. And
Sure.
I was getting married, and I realized I was going to have children. And so I made the decision, maybe police work isn't exactly going to be the schedule I'm going to be able to want for my family and, the life that my husband and I were looking for. So
Yeah.
I stepped away from police work and went back into security and retail security, which I did for another 20 some odd years. Um, and at that point, I was moving around the country with my husband's career, and I moved and I did the ever important. Went online and reached out to the website for SUNY Canton and updated my address. And I had just moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and I had no sooner clicked send on that update, and one of the staff from the alumni office, my phone rang, and it was her. And I said, "Wow, that was quick." It just so happens they were coming out to at that time out to Phoenix for a an alumni event and gathering, and the then president, Dr. Kennedy, was coming, and she asked if I wanted to attend an event, and I said, "Sure." I knew no one. Let me at least start my getting to know people by getting to know Canton people. And so I went to that event, and from then on, um, it really just brought me back into, this is my alma mater. This is something that
Hmm.
has given so much to me that I now want to give back to the college. And they ended up hiring me. I worked for them for about 3 or 4 years remotely. Actually, I worked for them from South Carolina, where I lived at that point in time. And eventually became involved with the alumni board, and eventually I think it was around 2014, 15 that I took my first dive, if you will, into being one of the officers for the Alumni Association.
Amazing. Amazing. So I love the events, and there's so many things there that are so common in so many conversations that I've had, and it's the general skills and education that people take away with them after Canton that allow them to also reverse, and maybe pivot in a career, and the skills and the education they learned here are attributed to that. And I've had so many conversations about people thinking they want to come to Canton uh, for one major or one career focus, and then discover a different passion while here and switching. And then on the other side too, the events, I think what an amazing opportunity for alumni to not only just stay connected with us, the university, but also other alumni. And, say you're moving into a new area, say you're moving to Florida or North Carolina or Arizona, and you don't know anybody yet in the area. What a great way to connect with people who are already in your network to build that base too, or even if you've been there for years, just a great opportunity. So I love that our university is able to provide those opportunities for our alumni to reconnect. And we enjoy
Absolutely.
it just as much.
A- Absolutely, Zach. And it's, you know, when I was working for the alumni office, and I was kind of doing what you do and the rest of the staff does, I went out and I met many people around the country from different class years. And when I would call to set that appointment up, and I would say, "Hi, this is Kelly, and coming to your area. Would you like to meet? Would you like to go to an event?" The first question they would ask, "Who else from my class year is attending that event?" Well, I'm not gonna make stuff up, and I was, forthright, and I said, "Nobody." But there's somebody who's 2 years before you, or 4 years, or 5 years, and I had the opportunity to explain to them my experiences, is that it doesn't matter if you're same class year, 10 years before, 10 years after. the common ground that you find, that you have that connection that you have with a fellow alumni. I met a woman, an alumni from the class of 1946. She's since deceased.
Wow.
And her stories, and she was such a hoot that her and I had such a wonderful time, and we stayed friends until she passed away, unfortunately. But you just have this common ground that it's amazing, and it's a wonderful feeling to have. It really, really is.
Yeah, your post-secondary education alumni connection looks a little bit different than that of maybe your primary education, right? We're talking about your high school reunion coming up, and it tends to often be very tied and close with your class, right? And for all good reasons, because you spend 12 years, for the most part, coming up K through 12 education together. That's such a close knit relationship at that primary education level. In college, it's about the same shared experience. It's about the same shared connection, the professors. So it elaborates and broadens beyond just the class sometimes. And that connection, like you said, with the alumna from 1946, what a gap. But it's amazing to hear the stories along the way.
Yeah. And the stories that we talk about, yes, they are about, going to the Hoot Owl or to, some of the parties and the fun that was had there. But a lot of the stories that are shared, Zach, are, well, when I left SUNY Canton, I went to work for so-and-so. And do you know that how I got that job, or how I was able to get that job, was through a connection I had at Canton, whether it be a faculty member or a fellow alumni, or however, or just that maybe that business came to SUNY Canton for recruiting or whatever. Canton has, and is even stronger today, in our credibility and our students that come out of Canton. People are seeking us, are seeking our students, our graduates. And what better help, what better kind of boost up, stepping stool, if you will, than I'm from Canton. I am from Canton. So yeah, it's very beautiful. And the way fellow alumni have the opportunity to help each other, just going to an event that is held in your area, or coming back for reunion weekend, you're going to meet some amazing people, and you're going to make some connections with some people that you never imagined you'd ever. And you're going to hear some really great and funny stories, but it's those connections. Could they turn into a job opportunity for you or for your child? We've had older alumni come back, and their son or daughter has just graduated from school or whatnot, and they're looking for kind of a boost up. And it's just, the networking opportunity is just amazing. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and there's such an advantage to that. And the deeper the network, the more people that are engaged, the more impact it has. So speaking of impact, you're a supporter of the university in more ways than one. And I think the first one that always comes to mind is money, right? Is donations, supporting the university. Yeah. And yes, there is tremendous impact that happens there. And we have such a wonderful donor base that allows us to impact everyday students and programs. You've seen the progress of the university, where it's gone today, and that's because of just generous philanthropy and alumni who have really wanted to support the university in that way. However, there's other ways to support the university, and you're a really shining example of ways to do that. We always appreciate you as a donor, for one, but also we appreciate so much more that you offer. And that's being involved in the Alumni Association, being involved in setting that strategic plan and how we expand that network. with the events that are involved out of the Alumni Association, from Alumni Weekend to everything else we offer across the board. So for you, Kelly, what is it that really that drives you to want to continue to stay involved at that capacity, to that level of engagement? And, how has it been impactful for you? I can tell you how it's been impactful for us.
So when I was younger, probably up till my 10-year mark, if you will, of being graduated or of being out of Canton, I wasn't a donor. I couldn't afford to. We were a young couple just kind of finding ourselves. We had our own bills to pay and things like that. So giving back on that was not something that I was able to do. And fortunately I am now, and I'm very proud of that. But people have to remember, it's not the amount of what you give, it's what you give in dollars, right? And I started off as, I could give $10 or 10, 15, whatever it was. And it doesn't matter. It just, if you have anything that you can put that way, it helps the students of today and tomorrow, which is what so many of us were able to take advantage of. And I've got to say that the number one thing that keeps me engaged with SUNY Canton is our alumni, because they're amazing people, and they're human beings, and they've had good times and bad times, and they've had ups and downs in their careers, and they too have maybe not been large donors or small donors, but they care, and they listen, they come back, they follow us on social media, they comment on social media. Engagement, they're engaged. People are just, they care, and they feel that passion of really wanting to do something for their alma mater. And everybody's at a different level. If you are, when you first graduate, it's kind of more of a, still SUNY Canton is giving to you, because you're looking for that mentorship, you're looking for that connection, for that job opportunity piece, for the piece of when you move to a new area and you're looking for, is there anybody here I know, kind of like thing. But as you grow and as you mature, that changes. And you may work for a company that offers mentorship programs or internship programs. You may be able to come back as a guest speaker and, just give the students of today your experiences of what you have been through from the time you've left Canton till now, and whatever time that is. If it's 7, 8, 9, 10 years. There's a lot of experience. 10 years is a long time, a lot of things happen in a person's life in those 10 years. So it's, for me, it is just that ability to give back, because I've gotten so much from the connections and from the people from SUNY Canton that I just don't feel I can ever repay it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so that impact, and one of the things you mentioned, mentoring, that's sometimes an underlying benefit and impact that people can provide, but it has huge benefits. And so that's one of the things we're working on, is we're building the infrastructure to hopefully grow out a mentoring program within our alumni network. And that's why it's so important to stay connected.
Yeah.
Speaking of connected, where a lot of these conversations have come from is through our fairly new system that we call Alma Base.
Yes.
Right. And so you are a user, you're an alumni listed
Yes.
on our Alma Base website.
Yeah.
And The best way that I can summarize it is it's basically our own internal social media and communications network for SUNY Canton alumni.
Yes.
And, not everybody this day and age is on Facebook and Instagram and all the other social media platforms. And if they are, sometimes it can be difficult to look up. So with Alma Base, what's nice is that you can see all the events coming up within the Alumni Association and the university, but you can also look for classmates. You can look for people. You can look for mentors. There's so many details and benefits to being on Alma Base. And on the adverse side, it allows the university to get, to stay updated and connected with you as an alumni. So that way, we can send out all the communications that you prefer to hear, whether it's athletics or whether it's from your individual programs or alumni events. Or mentoring opportunities. It's so important to have that, so that way we can also reach out and connect those same dots. And at the same time, we care. So it's nice to see, in our other database where we keep all of our, our graduates and alumni information, we don't always know when alumni gets a new job or starts a new career and gets a promotion. So this allows us to reach out genuinely and say, hey, congratulations on the new promotion. And just keeping that authentic relationship, from the university, very much intact. And so what is your take on Alma Base, Ben? How much benefit in use have you received out of it?
Oh, it's an amazing tool. And if you are not, as an alumni, taking advantage of this yet, I encourage you to please do. It's as simple as I mentioned before. I had to go online and I had to be the catalyst to update my own information. You still are, but you can go into this database, put your information as much as or as little information as you want. Once you're in there, you can search by name of another alumni. You can search by class year. You can search by curriculum. So if you want to connect with a classmate that you haven't seen, in my case, almost 50 years, you've got an avenue, a way to do that now. And the coolest thing, Zach, is you can go in and there's a map and you can put in your zip code from where you live now, and the map will populate all these little dots of their alumni that are within a perimeter of your area. And how cool is that? And then now wow, there's this many alumni that are right here, right in my backyard. And who knows, maybe that classmate that you're looking for might be right in your backyard too. And it's an amazing tool. As I said before, one of the number one question that I always received from alumni when we reached out is, can you find Johnny for me or Susie for me? We were roommates or whatnot, and I'd really like to reconnect with them. You don't have to ask us now. Once you're registered, you just go on this database and you look them up yourself, and you can reach out to them yourself. You don't have to go through us. You don't. You have the power now. And then the second piece to that is the mentoring program that you talked about. And most of us have had one or many mentors throughout our life. And some of them have been, designed to be your mentor, and others have just been people who are outstanding and amazing, and they just turn into your mentor as you go through life. But this program will allow you as an alumni to agree to be a mentor. And that mentorship can be on so many different levels. It can be within your industry that you work in. It can be within, as you mentioned, a sports arena or a sports, maybe a club that you had at school. It's just it's endless what the capabilities of this program is going to be, and how we can be connected to our fellow alumni and be able to help them and be able to give them back. And it costs us nothing, just a little bit of time. That's all it takes. And you mentioned too about the importance of updating your information. And you talked about jobs. What about weddings? and babies being born and just all that exciting news that we all go through in that 10, 20, 30, 50 years of our lives. How great is that for you as an alumni to be able to go on, and you're now friends with John, but John lives on the other side of the country. So it's not like you see each other, but you can see that John and his wife just had a baby, or that John just got married, or so you too can help celebrate some of those beautiful moments in our lives that are precious.
Life's different events and chapters.
Exactly.
There's so many use benefits to it.
Absolutely.
So, as the president of the alumni board, what are the things that you're most excited about for, and what's coming down the road for the alumni community? What have you seen that excites you the most?
Well, first off, it's truly an honor to be the president, to be on this board, but to be the president, because our board, which consists of about 17 alumni of all different class years at this point, but it's just an honor because we represent the fellow alumni. We're your voice. So if there's something you want to see, or something you want to know, or something you don't understand, or whatever, we're your connection. If you don't want to call the office, which everyone that works there is wonderful and very helpful, but you can always reach out to us, and we'll answer your questions or provide whatever connections that we can. Our sole purpose as an alumni board is just that, to help create and maintain the connectivity and the relationships that our alumni have with the college, and to support that through obviously different fundraising activities and the getting the people back together. As you mentioned, you just came back from Florida. I know you're traveling to North Carolina here shortly. I know they've been they're all over, but it's just an opportunity for you to be part of that, and we help as an alumni board promote those activities. We also work very hard to nominate a few of the awards. So the Hall of Fame, which most of you I hope have heard of, the Distinguished Alumni Award, and the Outstanding Young Alumni Award, which if you go online and you can see the nomination, the key is that we have amazing alumni out there doing amazing things in their community. They're doing things wonderful, and they're such help, and we're so grateful for what they do for Canton, but let's also recognize for what they're doing in their own communities. But I can't do that. I don't have eyes everywhere. So we need our alumni to help nominate those people as well.
Kelly, what would your message to Gold alumni, those graduates of the last decade, that are just starting their careers, that are figuring what life after college is about, what would you want them to understand and help guide them in connecting or getting involved with the university?
So first off, I want to congratulate them, because they have put their time and talent into their degrees and their time at Canton. And that is something, you can't take education away from anyone. So congratulations to all of you for having that. And there's so much ahead of you, and there's so much life and joy and milestones that you are going to go through as a person. And part of that is what SUNY Canton has been able to give you in terms of your education, but also in terms of just your ability for leadership. If you were part of a group or an organization, or that you learned many things at Canton, not just your degree, and use it to your advantage, because that's why they give it to you. And don't be afraid to reach out to the college. If you need something, ask. We understand where you are in your life. You're just starting off in your career. You have many, many things that you're trying to focus on. And giving back in many ways, not just financially, but sometimes even time is not necessarily something you can do right now. But you don't know if you don't look, and if you don't ask, and if you don't stay connected. And eventually there will be something that will connect to your heart, and you'll be back. And I tell you won't regret it. And it will just even help to grow that experience that you had there as a student. It's not over. You're still connected. And as alumni, it goes on for generations and years. So just stay connected. It's very important that you do.
That's a great message. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you.
And so just to wrap this whole thing up, we've pointed out president of the alumni board. On a personal level, what does SUNY Canton mean to you?
I'm proud that I am a SUNY Canton alumni. When I wear, or I have a sticker on my car, or I wear a shirt that has the emblem of SUNY Canton, and I live in Maryland, and I walk down in the grocery store, and somebody goes, "You went to Canton?" And there's that connection, and it actually happened in my parish. Not too just a few weeks ago, I had a jacket on that was a SUNY Canton jacket, and he goes, "Did you go to it?" It was a SUNY connection. He had gone to another SUNY college, but we had that talk and we had that conversation. And I see him now, and we each give each other the thumbs up because now we have that connection, which I didn't know who he was before. What it means to me is just that I see what it gave me, and I have seen throughout the years what it gives to other students through scholarships, through the mentoring programs, through as I said, that step up that all of us need. And in different phases of our life, we still need that step up. So it's just something that's there for us that I'm just so proud that it is there, and that I have it, and that I can be a part of it.
Amazing. Well, Kelly, thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is Kelly Obermayer joining us from Maryland, and on our very first podcast episode of The Gold Standard, and appreciate you coming on today and, just giving your perspective and sharing your story about SUNY Canton and talking about the wonderful platform and system we use, Alma Base, and talking about what the alumni board does and its purpose, and just so many great things. And that connection story is amazing. So, thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you had a chance to take a few new bits of information away from this podcast, and encourage you to, if you haven't reconnected with the university, to please reach out to our alumni association, or you can check us out on our website through SUNY Canton. You can look at creating a profile on Alma Base as well, and we're certainly happy to always stay in touch and always keep an eye out for our next alumni events coming to a neighborhood near you. Until then, we'll see you on the next episode.